I'm very glad to be here. I have to tell you, I'm a little bit nervous because I have to speak in English already. It's not my native language. And I will try to do my best today and to help you a little bit to understand more about the impact of colors on consumers. Of course, impact of color is huge, and I think everyone here knows this. Not only on consumers, but on our well-being, on who we are, because we are humans and we have learned to be quite rational. But being quite rational is one thing, but the main thing we usually do is we react by our instincts. I don't know if you know on what instinct we get in love. What is our sense that makes it easy for us to fall in love, but we have forgotten it a little bit? Anyone has an idea? Smell. And you know why? Yeah. We have our instincts, our senses, they are our guiders. They make it possible for us to make decisions. For example, if I would not have this instinctively rationalize, or perhaps I walk down the street and I smell things, but I don't know it really, and I would fall in love on everyone. So this is not possible. So we have kind of a habit, and we try to think all the time, but mainly we react spontaneously. And color has this beautiful effect that it doesn't exist. There is no existence of any color. It's just a reflection of light. And light, it hits an object. And we have this instrument in our eyes, that's the RGB, the red, green, and blue. So again, some codes like the former presenter tells us. So it enters our brain, our eye, and we have this thalamus, and the thalamus gives it this information to our reptile brain. Now, frequencies of light, it's always a little bit, do we really believe this? Is this physics? Yes, it's just physics. And light is kind of a transformer of energy. And this energy, it hits us, like in the summer when we wear black clothes. I don't know, is there a difference between black and white clothes while wearing it? Yeah, the white, it reflects all the energy, and the black one, it absorbs everything. So if you go to a Metallica concert and you wear a black t-shirt, then you have, again, the sound that hits you, but also the heat. So it's a good idea, perhaps, to next time you go there to wear white t-shirts. So when you think of this, it means that when you enter a building, when you put color, any color on an object, it hits us. It hits us all the time because you cannot close your eyes for colors. Perhaps you can close your ears and you will not hear anything, but you can't close your eyes for color. Then you don't see anything anymore. So another question. While you're driving, it's already a little bit dark on the street. What color do the leaves on the trees have? So it's already a little bit dark. What color do they have? Anyone has an answer? Brown or gray. And in the daylight, they are green. And if you are sleeping during the night and you have this small light in your room, but you wake up and you have to go to the bathroom and you have really a red sofa in your room, what color does it have? Gray. So this means we have this very good instrument in our eyes again, and it's called, you have the cones and you have also the gray that is monitored by another instrument we have in our eye. And the gray, that's the thing that we, like the former presenter said, the cyan, magenta, yellow, and then you put black in it. And the black, it will darken your color. But this gray instrument that we have in our eye, it's so delicate and it absorbs so much frequencies that this is the way that we still can see during the night something. But you can't see color anymore because you need light, a lot of light to see color. Now, I was always working with a lot of teams internationally to make brands and to try to find nice color combination. Like everyone, of a lot of people, I use Pantone or other system to find out what color I want to choose, and then it starts. So first hour, second hour, third hour, and again, you are choosing colors, and on the end, you don't know it exactly anymore what color you want to choose. So then you have to talk to people to convince them, and then you say, this is a tomato red, this is an orange, more orangey-like red, and you can't stick perhaps to your first idea because you've seen so many colors during your day. Now I'm going to show you a small movie, and it will present me 7 years ago when I was working with colors, and then I met somebody and I fell in love with the system, and that's why I'm a color navigator. But I will show you now first the movie. So perhaps I do it without sound, it's not such a problem. So this is me. So I have to design something and I have to choose the color, and then they say to me, make it red. And then it starts. So I'm thinking, there are lots of reds, so I have all the reds in my head, and I don't know which one to choose. So I'm thinking, and I'm still thinking, and everyone has some other ideas, so I try to talk with people, and they try to help me, but some have associations with the ketchup, some have with the cherries, and then a lot of time, a lot of discussion, a lot of chaos, and a lot of opinions. And in the end, I don't know. I don't know it anymore, it's too much. So my head is full of color, and bang. So you could imagine me sitting in this ambulance, and then suddenly I hit Luc. Luc van Rentergem, a professor, 82 years old, in science, but also in psychology, and he explains me, look, Karine, I found out Color Navigator, and what is this? It's a navigation system, and it will help you to guide you your way through color. So I'm really amazed. I can't believe it. I never have seen this, but I'm also a little bit thinking, is this possible? Is it possible to fix it? Okay, it's not a problem. So the story I want to tell you is that I'm a creative person. Creative persons, they tend to have quite some chaos in my head. I have it because that's why I can change perhaps things and to invent new collections or new ideas for companies and try to help them. But some things need to be also rationalized. It's like when you are looking at a destination, I also go on Google and they give me coordinates and then I know where to go. This is what Luc did. For more than 10,000 colors, he mapped them by their physics, so the scientific part, but also the impact of the color. Not only the... What? It's working? Okay, again, here we start again. So this is this invention. 10,000 colors are mapped in the wheel, and it enables me to all the discussions that I have with the manager, the director, the designers, my not knowing what red I have to know, to put it in my system and to try to find out what geographical relevance has those colors. Because in Japan or in another place, there are different colors. So in the end, I know my color, I know the impact of it, I know the facts, and I can go to my client and I can explain them, because not everyone is creative and you need to explain your project. So if you can do this, then I have a report and I can present it and I have a good communication. So everyone understands what I'm telling. So we have a color success factor, we call this. So for every project, we try to give a new report, an extra report that helps other people who don't really understand or are not so creative to see what you are telling. So this is Color Navigator, a little presentation. said color is light existing out of electromagnetic waves. So, and mainly if we start with a project and you have to convince managers of investing in your project, they always say, I don't want to hear about those colors. It's just gut feeling. It's a feeling of a designer and he will take care of it. So we say, no. If you understand that radio waves, they exist, and if you know that ultraviolet is dangerous for our skin, so then you also will going to put some cream to protect yourself. And that spectrum that you say it's just gut feeling and I don't want to get to know this, it's really existing and it has a huge impact on you. So what Luc did, he translated and he really mapped the specific impact of every wavelength and frequency of a color. If you now know, it's an institute, NCS, researched this in Sweden, and in 85% of all purchase decisions, color is the main element. It's really important to understand this because you can't close your eyes as said for color, and if you don't like the color, you will have a strange feeling and you will not be attracted to it. So what we say, let color create opportunity and try to understand them because it's a huge market. Everyone is different and you have to know the preferences of your customer and you also have to know the preferences of a kind of object or of a building or of a room. You have to know who's in the room. You have to know what the orientation of the room is and you can make a huge difference by implementing color. If you know that by putting red in a room, you will obtain a more creative brainstorm because you are able to make more mistakes than if you enter a room where there are too many blue objects. It's good for creativity, but it will make you less eager to find out something new because you will not want to make a mistake. We do research together with food companies, and I can tell you, like drinking wine in a plastic glass, it tastes differently than drinking wine in a real glass. It's the same with yogurt, for example. If you eat with a pink spoon, your yogurt will taste a little bit sweeter than if you eat it with a white spoon. So synesthesia, this means that you link more than one, but at least two of your senses together. There are people who don't hear, but when they play music, they see colors. You can try to find this out on the internet. It really exists. So this means that we are able to link all our senses. And if you know this as a product designer, it's very important when you use colors that you rely the colors on the taste, because it will have an influence. It will make it more bitter, or it will make more sweeter. And as a government, for example, it's very important to know this because of the obesitas. It's not good that we eat too much sugar. So if you can implement this in packaging and you try to add a little bit of more influence on your consumer, it can have a huge effect. The power of color and recognition. Of course, it's also by form that you have recognition, but if at least two, again, senses are implemented in our brain, then we tend to recognize it much more easier. So, and then we feel comfortable because all new things, it distracts us, and we will implement it as a rationalized idea, and we will remember the colors of IKEA. We will remember the colors of Coca-Cola. Let's create positive color associations. A fact is we do not like color distortions. And why would it be like this? Imagine that you're eating a steak, and when the steak looks gray, are you still going to cook it? You can get very sick. So we, as humans, we don't like color distortions, and we try to find balance all the way. Why do you think that if we talk about complementary colors, what are complementary colors? If we see a red, what color is our complementary color? You know this? Green. I'm sorry? Green. Green. Greenish. So we have in our brain, again, something magnificent. We call this optical illusion. when you look at red, 20 seconds, you can try to do this at home, and then you put your eye on a white paper, you will see the bluish green appear. So this means that our brain reproduces this color immediately. So this is why we like to tend complementary colors. And our brain reacts on this spontaneously. Now, why do we call optimized color success factor? Of course, color is beautiful. It's necessary in our life. When we wake up in the morning and the sky is blue, we feel better than when it's very gray. So we want, as a company, as Color Navigator, we want really to convince people to use more color because it has a use effect. And even now, in sales, it's always, we say about sales, but it's in fact true. If you are a creator and you make a product, what is the most magnificent feeling that you have? When you go to a store or when you go and eat with your friends and you see that they use the spoons and the fork that was presented in the former talk, and it gives you a really nice feeling. Perhaps it's also important to see that if you choose then the right colors, that your project will have more success. Now, when I introduced Color Navigator, we have like 10 to 12,000 colors, identities, where you can measure the impact on your business and customers. It's a worldwide patented technology, and this means that we have it in a digital system. So when you use colors Pantone, Ancestral, like I said, you just match it in our system, and you will see not only the identity of the colors, you will have the parameters, you know how much gray is in the color, how much chroma is put inside of the color, but you will also understand the impact of the color. What do we? What is interesting when you start a project? I will show you some projects where you can see what can happen if you make a color dashboard. What is a color dashboard? You have a product or you have a service and you want to define colors. So what we do, we put some colors together, we put them in a report like after our study, and then we try to make more combinations out of it. I will skip this. A project example. For example, O'Neill. O'Neill, they are rebranding and they are trying to adapt themselves in a new market. They were very famous of what they did, surfers, like a little bit a lifestyle that was quite adventurous. So what we do, we look first at our market and at the customer. And with that market, we are trying to define the lifestyle. And every lifestyle has certain color preferences. If, for example, this lifestyle is addressed, then we need other color combinations that what I showed you, like, for example, this lifestyle. And with this lifestyle group A, we know immediately that we will need much more energizing colors than if we, for example, would create for this lifestyle products, and it will confirm more natural look, and it will depend on the colors you choose. Not only the colors, but also the materials are, of course, very important. I will show you now some color frameworks. When you have color identities, what can be important is that nowadays we order a lot through the internet, and you go on the site and then you try to find your clothing or your product that you want to buy. So we know we can help people or companies to define their color identities to create a product. But we also have identities that can help people, I will skip this, to know what preference your customer have. So Luc defined 16 different color types over the complete globe. And if we know the types that we have, our skin tone, our eye color, and our hair color, then besides the colors that we can provide for making the product, we can also provide colors that will address the most type of people due to their hair color, skin and eye color. So I was working with Lee Clothing, and they had to decide in their palette a kind of purple. And they already had 16 colors. And they were doubting about of the purple. Because of this passport that we add to the colors, you can try to change the collection that you're making. For example, if you put this on the internet, you have chosen 5 colors. Those 5 colors will match those types. If we change a little bit the color, we will address much more customers. So when they enter the store, they will be more convinced because more colors will suit for more types. If we then change again a color, then we will try to convince every customer, because every customer will find his beautiful color to buy. Okay, so in a way, if you see the 2 mood boards, you have one that can convince your customer to make a collection that will address the lifestyle of the consumer, and on the other hand, you can also higher your sales conversion by making color selection to address all the different types. I want to show you a case of a project that we did. So imagine this is a company who makes drinks, and they ask us, okay, could you look for us to our brand? So we got all the samples, and this is the collection that they have. So these are soya drinks, and customers has to understand when you see this in your supermarket what he has to choose. So it's quite difficult to choose the right product. So what we do, we map it, we put it in our system, and we can map the colors like this. So we see that the colors in our system, normally they should address only one of those rows. They are everywhere. So then we say there are too much jumps in your colors. The customer has to look at the complete range, and he has to understand, and you cannot make too many steps between colors. So we say they make too much jumps, the colors. So what we try to convince them is the colors don't speak the same language. You can't see it anymore. You don't know it. So we look also at the brands. We map those colors, and we try to make a future-proof framework. So again, we put the colors in our system, and we know that those colors will be not recognizable for the customer. And then we put the synesthesie, like I explained. We associate color with taste, and the bluish colors tend to taste more salty. The pink ones and the red ones, they tend to taste more sweeter. Then the darker one, they tend to taste more bitter. And then the yellow one, they tend to taste more sour. So what they did is they used all colors as well for unsweetened, cashew, soya, coconut and almond, but the reddish colors, they tend to taste much more sweeter. So it's not a good option because they want to defend that it's unsweetened. So by using the red color, you give like something, the customer will not understand this. For example, wine. This is a brand that asked us to look at their colors. And what did they want to do? They want to address a customer that is a supermarket where you tend to buy products that are not so expensive. And for another supermarket, where you will find products that are much more expensive. If you look at the right end of the bottles, these bottles, they have more a feeling of a wine that has been a little bit longer in the cave, that has a rich taste, that can have a kind of perception of price. Because if you look at this combination, the wine tends to look not so strong and a little bit less expensive. So this means that when you have one wine and you want to address two different chains, and one chain is more expensive market and the other one is less expensive market, that by just changing the colors and choosing other colors, the customer will understand it. They will see that it's an expensive wine or a less expensive wine, and that's the target you have to aim for. So for the high-end market, you will use those colors, and for the commercial market, you will use colors that are not so deep, that are less strong, and you will, again, when you drink this wine, you will have this association. So, Leonidas, they ask us to support their identity. Now, if you look on the website or you go and buy some products in the market, that's what we do. So here we bought 3 different packaging and we mapped the colors, and we saw they're not consistent in using their colors. They always change the color that they are using. So we map it again in our system and we say they make too many jumps. Then we went a little bit further. They use this packaging, and to see again, we map the colors and we see that the identity is not right. Other colors, and we see they go everywhere. They're not consistent. They make too many jumps, the colors, so you don't have a consistent brand identity. Now, we associate this with psychology, the impact of color, but we associate it again with taste. And like explained, the association between color and taste has a huge impact when you eat, for example, something that has to taste more sweet. Then we put also our geographical relevance, because in Japan they need other colors, they have other color associations than, for example, in the United States. In Belgium we have other color preferences than, for example, in Germany. So we also map the color preferences over all the world, and it's put also in our identity. So then we can define that if we choose a certain red, we will know that that red will work in the United States, but the same red for sure will not work in Germany, or another red will not work in Scandinavia. So Leonidas, they ask us, can you help us? So we defined for them 16 colors in the mapping system, and it were always those 16 colors that we advised them to use worldwide. But to help them and to make for them frames that they know how they have to combine colors for certain markets, we make a dashboard. So we have different lifestyles, and we propose them combinations of colors so that they can understand which colors from those 16 they have to use for a certain lifestyle. Another lifestyle, again, from those 16, there are other colors combined. Other lifestyles, and we propose it to them with mood boards and also with combinations. Now, if you see those colors, we also combined those colors for their different collections. And also, we proposed them for different taste associations, for different moods and festivities. So again, the 16 colors that we propose them, we combine them differently. So this means they have a frame, and with that frame, they can propose their brand identity all over the world that people will understand the look and feel of Leonidas. For Christmas of Saint Nicholas, again from those 16 colors but different combinations. For again from those 16, other combination, another look and feel, another impact. From the same 16, other look, feel and impact. For the autumn feeling, from the 16, but you combine them differently, again another impact. Wintertime, the same 16, other combination, other impact. Another small case, the last one that I'm going to present you, is Belmio. So Belmio, the product developers, new company, they wanted to have a consistent color palette that fits in their product range. So what they did, they already made those colors, capsules to make coffee, and we mapped them in our system. So we put the codes on the system, and again we saw they were jumping a little bit. So this doesn't give a consistent feeling in the brain of we as humans. Now we couldn't change it anymore. So they had already bought the capsules, and they asked us, how can we have a framework so that in the future, when we make a new taste or we want to develop other capsules, how do we manage? Give us some frames. So again, we put it on the synesthesie, on the taste, and in our system, on the market that they wanted to address to. We saw how the color had to jump. We put the brand values also in all this mixture, and then we defined for them a color range that will help them to develop in the future. So if you see here, the one with the square, that were the colors they already had. Then our brain recognizes and will put some taste preference or some feeling on colors. And the right ones, they are a little bit lighter, so we will associate this, that it is a little bit lighter coffee. It isn't so strong. If we darken the colors, so those colors they can use for capsules, and it will present like it's a very strong color. So again, you affirm the feeling it's a strong coffee. If you go to the upside of the frame, it's not so bitter, it's more a sweeter cup of coffee that you're drinking. If you look at the downside part of the chart, it will taste a little bit more bitter, and you will associate this also. And then we also defined 3 different colors if they want to have a special assortment in springtime, that they have some color frame that they can use all the time. Now, if you know that Nespresso, they put on their decaffeinated coffee a red spot to have an idea, why would they put on a decaffeinated coffee a red spot? Because red is empowering. Why would they do this? Normally you should think that it's green, because green, it calms you down, but they put a red spot. Decaffeinated red spot? No one? Because they want to trick the customer. They want that when you drink a decaffeinated coffee, that you have an experience that it's like a real coffee, but you will not have the adrenaline that goes higher. So it is an association. We put a red spot, and it will give a feeling that you have more adrenaline. So we help them to have a nice color selection, and now this brand has a store, and they have a framework where they can rely on their color use. So it's a small, I cannot explain you everything, I'm giving a workshop, but if you have any question concerning the color, the association, how do you map colors, please?
I mean, I have a question, like, who defines the parameters that you have in your secret tool that will give my color scheme for a project that I would assume that the designer should do that?
Yeah. First of all, it depends on the kind of product that you are...
when you say your system has parameters,
yes.
Who defines those parameters? Because you give a tool that I could input something and it would give me out a result saying this is the result.
Yes.
And I need to know who makes the parameters, because how can I trust the tool that I know the parameters?
Yes, so Luc Van, he studied for more than 50 years, and all the parameters are in the system, and you just use them, but it's on scientifically research that he defines the parameters. So type of colors, style of colors, geographical relevance, and then the type of customers, the identity. So it's really into the system, and he, for more than 50 years, he studied this, and it's used in a lot of universities already in Belgium, because it helps a lot, just not starting from, for example, this is a small version of his system. So here, it will help me to navigate through colors. So I will understand the impact of this color.
And I think, you know, you're underestimating, I think, the power of people making decisions, like in the design process. I mean, that's our profession, to make a decision and to propose directions. I mean, you started with, I have so many red options, I cannot decide. I think that would be a problem of the person designing something not being able to make decisions.
I don't have this feeling, because first of all, when you look at Pantone, for example, there's written tomato red or cherry red. So this already influences me.
But for whom is your tool? Like for marketing divisions or for designers?
For designers, for marketing divisions, for everyone who wants to know more about color. So we use, it's used by architects, by designers, by product developers, everyone who touches colors, even those who make websites. Everywhere where you use colors, you need to have a guidance, because it can help you to define why a certain red can be more specifically good for your project or another project. But you put also your you define types. There are more than 6 types.
But in the end, you will have Nespresso and Delmio having the same color ranges for the same time.
No, because it's another target group. It's another you start differently. I can define high level or mid level or low level. It depends on the type of color, because there are colors that tend to have more an impression of a very expensive color. Like colors with high chroma, and colors, they tend, when you put more gray in it, then it tends to be more ripe colors, more experienced colors, not so bright colors. If you put more white in it, then it looks like more lighter colors. So it has an impact on also the price level and also on the project you are working for. If it's high end or low end, so first you have to make your own parameters, and by having your parameters you can define it's high end, mid end, low end, for example.
Connected to the price of the pigment according to the color.
Not the price of the pigment, the impact of your color that you're looking at, not because of the pigment, the price of the pigment, but the value of the color itself. If I look at, for example, this color, you will tend to have an idea that if it's put on a wine bottle, that it's a wine that has more years in the bottle than if you put like this green on your bottle. It's an effect on consumers that this looks like not so long in cave, this looks like a little bit longer in cave. We associate this.
Yeah, but I'm not trusting totally your system of like streamlining like all perceptions of people.
But we can't streamline all perceptions. That's impossible. It guides you to have more an idea of which color could be suitable for your project, instead of going to look through all the greens that you have. It guides you, it gives you an idea, but you define finally.
I also wanted to ask, isn't it also just trend-driven also? Sometimes more saturated colors are see more wine bottles, and sometimes I guess less. Like, is the factor of time, is that kind of determining as well? Or?
Yeah, our system is not on trend, but you always use trends depending on the market you're working for. So it depends geographically. Now we see, for example, that yellow is very much pushing, because due to Asia, and in cars we see this, that we have much more brown cars and more yellowish colors in collections. But this is something differently than the system. The system only guides you towards a kind of profile of color instead of starting to look to all the red ones. So it guides you. But if you're welcome to come to the workshop, and then I can explain you a little bit more profoundly how it works.
I think that sums it up really well. I just thought, please everyone come to this workshop who's interested in it. Karine works as a color consultant obviously as well, so I'm sure they don't only work with data, but a lot of consultancy work is done as well. But I'm sure there is a lot of questions, and feel free to join.
Okay.
Thank you very much.